Sorry about that.
Not a problem. There are some advantages and some disadvantages to assessments and general obligations. The advantage of a general obligation is that you know when you're going to get the money, and you know how much money you're going to get on an annual basis to pay back loan amounts. In the case of special assessments, it's a little bit more, it's a little less guaranteed, the payment process, the repayment process. Because, as I mentioned before, there is a method where agricultural property, and I don't think we have any in these circumstances, but they can offset it for a time period. And there's other scenarios where you can offset it as well. I believe there's a hardship limitation as well. And in that case, usually what you're looking at is there's a chance that portions of the money may not get back into your hand within the payment scheme time period. That doesn't mean you won't collect on it. It just means that you might not get it within the same time frame you would want to make the cash flow work as easily as possible. Of course, like I said before, with assessment, you run into a lot more legal procedure as far as identifying what your limits on properties are, what you can collect against the property, how you determine it. There are actually different ways that you can determine special assessment. We ran into this with the South 5th Street water project discussion. You can base it upon frontage, which I believe is how we've done it in the past, Gary. Is that not true?
The last time we did.
Yeah, frontage has been our most common practice in the past. I mean, there's other methods, size of a block, valuations could be used as a determining factor. I think there's about 6 at state law that they identify that you can use for different purposes. And engineers would, of course, go through that whole process with us and do an analysis for us and make a recommendation to us on which one we would use. For the most part, the advantage, of course, of a special assessment scenario is that, of course, you leave the general obligation available for other purposes. Because, of course, in a general obligation scenario, as I said before, say we do $6 per thousand into the system. You've now tied pretty much all of your gap funding opportunity.
Well, I realize. I just wanted to talk.
I'm just going into the pros and cons of it. But of course, on the special assessment side, one of the negative drawbacks on the special assessment side is, of course, then instead of spreading it out over 1,300 pieces of different property out there in the city limits, you're now spreading it over more in the neighborhood of probably half to a quarter of that. And of course, you can get into all those old arguments about who uses it, who gets the value out of it, and of course our precedent historically on using special assessments in the past. I will tell you, I had a very interesting meeting in October. I went to the budget planning meeting up in, I always get this wrong, Cherokee, is that the one?
Cherokee's up there.
Pocahontas.
That's up that way.
The one that's up there just past Storm Lake.
That's Cherokee.
Okay, I went to Cherokee. I always get the two mixed up. I went to Cherokee, and it's an annual thing where they update us before the budget, before we actually start finalizing our budget plans. They give you updates on state laws, changes you need to build into your budget plans, things of that nature. One of the interesting final meetings of the afternoon was an advanced course for those of us that had gone through the training course before, the beginner stage course. And the focus in that room was on projects, of course. And it was interesting, the gentleman who was there on behalf of the league's comment to cities is he believes that the day of cities paying for a lot of these type of infrastructure projects through general obligation is going away. He believes that cities, that he's seeing more and more cities convert from using general obligation to special assessment than in the other way. And his argument, his statement was, is he expects you will see that become the norm in the next 50 years, is that special assessment will be the common practice in the state. And that's actually what he says he recommends to most of his clients. So
Is this for everything or just street improvement?
he was talking about if you had water main replacements, things of that. But roads was one in particular that he did mention, which caught my interest because that's the first person I've ever had in the league come out and actually say that type of language to us. So
You believe that?
Oh, in the past, we've done, that's why I asked if you were referring to just.
he just said infrastructure
But see, we done, like on North Fifth, the city picked up a lot of that, property owners, special assessment, picked up some like for sewer, some storm sewer, some of them got hooked for both. Well, it's only human nature, they squealed, but, you know.
When was that North 5th Street project done, Bob?
73, 5, somewhere in there.
Okay, just to give you a good example, I think it's either, and I apologize, I've been dealing with a lot of budget numbers over the last couple of months. It was either last year or this year, I received another payment on that 5th Street assessment project. Just to give you an example where it's not, now granted it wasn't a whole lot of money, but there was apparently a piece of land still up there that had not finalized their assessment payment yet.
Okay, just for example, in the street that I live in, there's 2 homes on the north side,
Okay.
2 properties. 1, 2, and there's maybe 4 on the other side. So we got 6 properties there. You know, some streets don't have that many.
If there is a scenario that, say that piece of improvement, say we improve that road, and that piece of improvement, that in the case of between the 25% rule and what the city has set as what they recognize as what portion of the project they're going to pay for as a part of the assessment process. Anything that would be a deficiency between that would then also be the obligation of the city at that point.